Hey guys, it is Targon here doing a Raid Shadow Legends video, and today I'm helping my friend in our sister clan because he's been struggling with clan boss, and I want to try and help him at least get top chest on Nightmare. Now he's a little bit of an earlier level, doesn't quite have the gear or the champions that will make this kind of a walk in the park. But I'm hoping we can get him there. If not today, then in the very near future, just with a little bit of gear farming here. Um, so let's see. He's right now hitting. Hit, he's having some trouble even getting a chest right now on Nightmare Clan Boss, and I think there's just a few kind of key things to look at with those champions. So right now he's using. I'll go back to it. He's got some really interesting champions, and actually these are good champions for Clan Boss. There's a few key elements that are missing, but he's got some really good champions here for Clan Boss. So we got Altan, Nethril, Lugan, Death Knight, and Sepulcher. So let's just look at those champions. Now, these champions actually have a lot of what you want to bring to a fight in Clan Boss, but there is one key element that is missing, and so I'm thinking long term, ideally you want to swap one of those champions out for a champion that brings decreased defense. None of those champions used has decreased defense. There are options. Potentially could bring War Maiden in. But she's squishy. Even, I mean, she's at 50 now, but even if you bring her up to 60, she's going to be pretty squishy. Um, but as I was looking through who he has, I think this guy actually, Cormac, is going to be your better option. Just because I think as an epic, he's going to have better base stats once you get him to 60. And he also brings increased accuracy and crit rate, which is going to help a lot early on because sometimes getting to all those stat requirements is a little bit difficult. And he brings it, once it's booked, it's a 3-turn cooldown. So hopefully bringing him up will really help out in terms of the damage output. But for now, I want to focus on the champions that we've got, right? So and I'll leave it to him to level up and everything. Um, but so who we've got? We got Ultimate Death Knight. We're using Altan, Lugan, Nethril, and Sepulcher Sentinel. All right. So let's focus on how these champions are built. So you want to look at your base, your total stats for Nightmare Clan Boss. I would say kind of minimum. I guess you can the HP and defense. Well, let's focus on those. There's a little bit of interplay between these two because if you load them up on defense, you can sacrifice HP to an extent. Really, we want to try and get around 40,000 HP. So Ultimate Death Knight. Actually, Ultimate Death Knight is one champion that probably the way he has him built, I don't necessarily need to touch him to get him to work for this. So 50k HP is great for Nightmare. Even for Ultimate Nightmare, this is enough. Defense, just because he's a defense-based champion and his shield scales from defense, might want to bring his defense higher. I'd say even if we go down to 40k HP and bring this up by another 1,000 defense, that would probably overall be better, specifically for Ultimate Death Knight, not necessarily for the others. So you want at least 2,000 defense, I would say, for Nightmare on everybody. Now, if you load someone up on HP, can you go less? Sure, a little bit, but really 40k HP, 2k defense. All right, that's your guidelines. All right. The next thing you're going to want, the clan boss runs at 170 speed. So ideally, we want to be 170 or higher. You can go a little bit lower. They're just going to take their turn after the clan boss goes, which sometimes strategically can work out. Like, so for example, if you're using Doom Priest to cleanse the stun off, and I don't think he has a Doom Priest, but if we were using Doom Priest, you could run at like a 169 and then he's going immediately after the clan boss, cleanses the debuffs off you, and gives you a little bit of healing so that you recuperate whatever you lost. So that might be a place where that strategy comes in. So 171 speed is good for Nightmare Clan Boss. The next stat that we really want to focus on actually is accuracy. If you have a champion that's going to be doing debuffs, you need to have 200 accuracy is what you want to aim for. You can do less than that on Nightmare Clan Boss, but ideally you want to get to around 200 accuracy. That's the goal. Now, Ultimate Death Knight, he does bring a decrease attack, which is useful. So ideally we would want some accuracy on him. However, we're running Altan, who brings decreased accuracy on his, or decreased attack rather, on his A1. So my thought is, we'll run him with the accuracy and just let Ultimate Death Knight be our tank, because he's going to be putting up the shields anyways. And unfortunately, I'd say if we had legendary books, we could book him up and bring this so he can shield like before each A1 on the clan boss, so that way his shield is up for both of the AoEs to really minimize how much damage we take. But we don't have books, which is why we need to be hitting Nightmare Clan Boss so we can get those books to build him up. But so that would be the strategy. So let's look at Altan though. So Altan, total stat again, HP and defense are great. That's fantastic. Speed is low. We've got to get that speed up. That's probably even more important in many ways than these here. And same with the accuracy. Really, speed and accuracy are kind of two of the biggest things if you're talking about a champion that's bringing debuffs in. So we want to find a way to bring up his speed and bring up his accuracy. Nethril, an attack-based champion, so we do want to have some attack on him, but we might want to, it's better to sacrifice a little attack on your attack champion just so they survive longer, because they'll still do more damage if they're not dropping. Speed, really got to get that speed up. Accuracy, again, he's landing poisons, so we definitely need the accuracy up. He's not really going to land any of those poisons with the accuracy as it is. Crit damage is great, but we need to have higher crit rate, because if you're only getting that crit, a quarter of the time, then it's not really going to help you out a whole lot. Let's see, Lugan, I don't think he's not going to bring any debuffs that help us against the clan boss. So we don't need accuracy on him. We've got the HP and defense. We just need speed. And then Sepulcher. Now, ideally with Sepulcher Sentinel, we'd want to run her really fast to get a 4-3 time with her so she can put her block debuffs up in front of every stun, but I'm not sure he's got the gear right now to get her to that. She also brings a decreased attack on her A1, so we could potentially do accuracy on her. Speed is okay, though. Actually, her build is okay, other than we just want to see if we can get the accuracy. Now, he doesn't have much in terms of accuracy banners for anybody. Oh, and we can bring her speed up a little bit more with her boots. So she's going to be good, actually. Once we get this chest up there, then and maybe we'll throw a few glyphs on, her accuracy will be close enough where at least she's going to be landing this a fair amount. So Sepulcher, I don't think we're necessarily going to need to touch, and Ultimate Death Knight we're not necessarily going to need to touch. So again, the big thing missing is decreased defense, but that we'll worry about later on, okay? So the simple way to bring up somebody's speed, and in general, you're going to want to do this on most of your champions, is you're going to want speed boots. Now, you can do it if you have really good substat rolls. Like, occasionally I'll have champions where I'll do, like, an attack percent boot with, a double or a triple roll on speed, and then just look for other gear that has a lot of speed on it. But really for this, we're going to want to see what we can find in speed. So let's just go into our fitting room and let's just look at speed. Now he is in lifesteal gear, which would be helpful if we could keep him in the lifesteal set, but I'm not sure that's going to be super necessary because we do have the continuous heals from Ultimate Death Knight, and we also have Lugan's A1 that's going to be bringing a little bit of healing. Although without the cooldown reduction on Ultimate Death Knight, that could be tough. But really, lifesteal gear is great early on for clan boss, but sometimes you're better off just having the stats so that you can last longer anyways. A really good set that'll help out early on is Stalwart. Here we go. What have we got in Stalwart? So Stalwart just minimizes a flat 30% of your damage from the AoEs, which is a lot. It's a lot versus Clan Boss. So this is, honestly, I think this is better than Lifesteal, even early on. Especially if you have healing, which we have with Ultimate Death Knight. We have that with Lugan. This way, we're not taking as much damage, so we don't need as much healing. So we'll probably look at Stalwart. But again, for Nethril, a big thing we're going to want to look at is potentially using Perception, because we've got to get his accuracy up so that he's able to land his poisons. Those are such a huge part of the damage that he does. So we want to get accuracy on him so that he can be landing those poisons. All right, so I'm going to pause the video and kind of look around. Really what I'm going to be looking for in terms of boosting the accuracy is what do we have in perception and accuracy sets, and then what do we have available to kind of bump up the speed, maybe if there's some speed gear with some really good rolls on accuracy, or just adding some speed boots and some good speed substats on them. All right, so I will pause the video and I'll check back in just a minute. All right, so I'm here working on Sepulchre Sentinel, and her stats are almost to where we want them, right? Like the speed is, if we can bring it up just a little bit, then that'll be really, really great. And the accuracy, we just got to find a way to bring up the accuracy slightly. Total HP, we want to bring it higher. Might be able to get away with it where it is, honestly, but and I think with a few glyphs and so forth, it'll get close enough. We're running a little low on silver, but I want to just look at some simple tweaks that we can make to bring those stats up. One, obviously, is glyphs. So I found like one where I could do a glyph for accuracy, brought that up slightly. For speed, easy solution is leveling up the speed boots. So once we do that, the speed's going to be fine. But I wanted to look at, is there a way to bring up her accuracy a little bit more? And I'm wondering, since we can bring up the speed boots by an extra, this will go up to 40, right? Yeah, that'll go up to 40. So that'll bring an extra 13. That'll make up for what we would lose if we swapped this speed set. So I'm going to look and see, do we have an accuracy chest in either accuracy or perception? And we do. Oh, and this will bring up her HP a little bit. Wonderful. It brings her speed down quite a bit, though. Let's see. So let's just try this, and now let's look at the shields available in perception. Here we go. I knew I saw one with a double speed roll. So switching this, it does bring her HP down a little bit more. We'll have to find a way to bring that back up, but it brings her accuracy. We're almost now to 150, so that's where it can be acceptable. And with a few glyphs, we can get it probably closer to 160, I'd say. And he doesn't have an accuracy banner for her, which is the easiest solution here. So, hopefully farming some spider will provide that banner. So let's go with this. And now the simple solution here. Let's see, what do we have on helmets in lifesteal gear? That would increase. Is there anything? No. This will bump up her defense a little bit more. What's this one got? That one does have HP percent. How about swords in lifesteal? Do we have anything with accuracy? Ideally, if we had accuracy and HP, but oh no, that has speed on it. Let's see. And the gloves are pretty good too. So, but I think this is enough because we have room for glyphs. That'll bring this up closer to the 30k realm, and she has enough defense. She's a fairly tanky champion. I think she'll be okay. We just gotta find a way to get her HP up. All right, so that's just sort of simple ways to look at how do I increase those core stats without having to break the bank. All right, so I'll come back and look at some of the other champions in just a second. All right, so we're finally ready to kind of throw this team together. So for Altan, fixing him was easy. Really, all he needed was speed, since we're going to use Sepulcher for the decrease attack. So all I did was I just threw some speed boots on him and used a few glyphs to get him up to speed. And he's going to be our team lead. So we'll just kind of look at this. He is going to be solid. He will probably be the last one to drop. So we've got him at 46k health, 3.4k defense. Ideally want to bring the crit rate up, but first things first, we get the survivability and everything. And then as you get more gear, you look at things like, do I have crit rate gloves or something like that? Again, ideally having accuracy would be nice, but again, since we're using Sepulcher, we don't necessarily need him. And honestly, I think the way this comp is looking, he's, as much as he's a great clan boss champion, just based on the roster right now, he's probably going to be the one to take out in place of the decreased defense when that is ready to go. All right, so that is Altan. Next, we're going to look at Ultimate Death Knight. I did not touch him. Again, ideally, I'd love to bring his defense up more. Ideally, you want crit rate, but really, so this is solid. This will help him survive. The defense is high enough, HP is high enough, speed is just right, and we're going to want him going last in the rotation because he's putting the shields up. So the idea is everyone else gets their turn, and then Ultimate Death Knight puts the shield on, so that's going to protect us from the AoEs. And really, that's his primary role, the shield and the continuous heals. Next, we'll look at Lugan. Now, Lugan was the tough one to build because he's an HP-based champion, and I wanted to get him at the right speed, but because he's healing based on the damage he does, I wanted to include as much crit rate and crit damage as possible. So I got him close to 100% crit rate, not quite, but I think this will be enough to do a fair amount. And again, ideally, as you get better gear, you throw better crit rate stuff on. Honestly, if you could get a crit rate set and put it in place of these frost pieces, I just used these because they had the right substats on them. And his stats will go up as well once you fully level his gear. Let's see, is this a crit? If you can get a crit damage amulet, actually, there's not a crit damage amulet, but getting a crit damage amulet will help a lot. But so he's built pretty solid. His HP will go up when you fully level up the helmet and the chest. We're all out of silver right now. All right, so ideally we want him going either second to last or third to last, depending on, just we might want to actually have him going after or before Sepulcher Sentinel. But right now I have him going after her. So Sepulcher Sentinel, she is going to be our decrease attack. Now I do need to bring up her accuracy a little bit more. Want to bring up her HP a little bit more. Speed is good. Crit rate is decent. The accuracy is going to go up when we level up this chest piece. Again, we're out of silver. HP is going to go up a little bit when we bring that up, and then there's glyphs we can use. Like we can bring up her HP here. Let's see. Oh, nice. Got a favorable roll. But again, you can see we are plumb out of silver. I could sell off more gear, but I'll leave that to him to do. So really main things we want to just bring up her accuracy and her HP, and she will be good to go. And then last but not least, we're gonna look at Nethril. So Nethril is kind of a tough champion to build because he is attack based. So you want as much attack as possible. You want to have at least 2k defense on him. You want to have the right speeds. Ideally, I wanted to get the crit rate, but just getting everything else, and I wanted to yeah, just getting everything else with the accuracy um, made it really impossible to get enough crit rate. Um, Now, once you get like an accuracy banner for him, then you can swap out some of this perhaps perception set in favor of a crit rate set, or get crit rate gauntlets. Again, these were it's just kind of the best gear that I was able to find. But a lot of his damage comes from landing his poisons, which is why accuracy is so important on him. He's going to do more damage from the poisons landing than he is from the crit, at least for now. Maybe once you get decreased defense in there, having the crit rate up is going to be more important. But again, we're kind of going for survivability and get him throwing out the poisons. And so that is the team, guys. So let's go ahead and take it for a spin. So um, we were averaging about 3 million before on the first two. Actually, so let's just go over presets real quick. So we want to make sure that Nethril is not doing these two attacks for Clan Boss. They don't do anything to the Clan Boss. It's like a decreased speed, decreased turn meter, and a stun. Clan Boss is immune to all of that. And the only thing we really want here is the poison. And we have him with the Giant Slayer mastery. Mastery is really important. Um, so the Giant Slayer is going to go off every time he hits. There's a chance for it to go off and do extra damage. So that's why the more hits, the better. So he's just going to be doing this 3-hitter every single time with a chance to apply the poison. Ultimate Death Knight, we're going to put this shield as the first choice. We're not going to use Mark of Silence for Lugan. This is going to be her first choice anyways. But actually, we're going to want to open with her A1, so that way the block debuffs goes on after. And all 10, we can just use the defaults. All right. So let's go ahead and just see how this goes. Now, we are going against Spirit, which is probably not a very good... Spirit's one of the toughest affinities. Sepulcher is going to be landing weak hits with her decreased accuracy and her accuracy, or with her decreased attack, and her accuracy is not that great, but it is what it is. We'll just kind of go with it and see how well we can do. Now you'll notice that everybody's going to take a turn now before the clan boss, and he did not land any of his poisons there. So you see the shields are up, and that nobody took any damage to their health. I'll speed it up. And you'll see the shields are still going to be up for this next AoE, which is great. So great, we were getting some poisons out. Now the challenge here is he is going after Ultimate Death Knight. So why wasn't Sepulcher's block? Oh, because it wore off on him. I had her blocking the speed instead. Probably should have waited for it. But Sepulchre's not at the place where she's going to be able to block everything anyway. So she'll block this stun. So the challenge now is that Ultimate Death Knight is not taking, um, because he doesn't have the reduced cooldowns on his shield, he's not able to put it up all the time. But there you see Lugan's healing. The shield is going up, so it's minimizing our damage. So, all this is just about letting us survive as long as possible. Great, there's some more poison. See, the poison does that 50k that you saw there, which is really a lot of damage at this point. So you saw, like, even when Nethril got a crit, it was still like 2,000. Obviously, we can bump the damage up, and it'll go up a lot once you get decreased defense. But he's getting more damage out of his poisons at this point. Now, once you get into like really advanced, like closer to like late game, end game, where you can load up a champion with a ton of crit damage and so forth, and a ton of attack, and you have like an unkillable setup, then doing more damage, you can do more damage by getting all the critical hits and so forth. But really early on, poisons add a ton to your clan boss damage. And I do think that these speeds will work on Brutal. And I think that maybe for now, until we get the decreased defense and until we're able to get, well, until once we get the decreased defense, maybe, but until we're able to get the cooldowns on Ultimate Death Knight's shields, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get top chest on Nightmare. So I would say pay attention to, if you're in this type of situation, right? Ultimate Death Knight is great. He can carry us through, but we want it to have that cooldown period so that way his shields are blocking the AoEs every time. So pay attention to like some of the champion training events that give out the legendary skill tomes. Those are really, really helpful. So if you can get his A3, Ultimate Death Knight's A3 booked, and there people are starting to drop. But if you can get it booked, then he's going to be able to go and put that shield up every 3 turns, which will sync up perfectly with Clan Boss and is really going to help us survive a lot longer. There we go. All right. 5 million damage. We made it to turn 27. So the damage is going to go up substantially as we improve the builds on the champions. Again, we got to get better gear. If you can run everybody in Stalwart, that'll help. Bringing in some extra healing, booking Ultimate Death Knight, all those things are going to be ways that we can increase our survivability and also increase our damage. If we had decreased defense, I think we could have ended up with a much better damage total because everybody would be doing a lot more damage. So it'd probably be closer to 8 million, which still would be like a 5 key territory for Nightmare, but that's doable. And again, as you level up everybody and get the gear better, then that'll help out a lot. And apparently my internet disconnected, so we're just going to have to go with this. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys. Hopefully that you can kind of figure out some ways that you can try and tweak your teams to get that damage level that you need on Clan Boss. All right. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.